We talk about domestic workers being heroes, we talk about domestic workers being the backbone of the economy, but that does not translate into policy, it does not translate into money, it does not translate into the care that we provide for them.
There is a systematic violation of domestic workers in the Arab countries, and we want to prove the entity of these crimes.
I am a domestic worker, the backbone of my country's economy, and very proud of myself. I wake up before everyone and the last person to go to bed, just to ensure that the house is in order.
If the domestic workers today go on strike, believe me, Kenya will start. Hakuna kazi itaendelea.
Domestic workers are an integral part of the global labor force. Their work contributes to national economies and labor markets by enabling others to carry out their own jobs. Whether hired locally or internationally, it is domestic workers who provide the backbone for development and economic prosperity of nations, as they are left behind every day managing households.
Today, we take cognizance that care work is a significant source of work for women globally. As we all know, paid care work looks after the physical, psychological, emotional, and developmental needs of others within an employment relationship.
The International Domestic Workers' Day on June 16th marks the anniversary of the 2011 passage of the International Labour Organization Convention 189, meant to promote decent work for domestic workers.
As ILO, who are the proponents of this convention, I stand here to render our commitment to ensure that this convention is ratified. In addition, ratification of Convention 190 is also going to be highly relevant for domestic workers. You have a right to be protected from harassment and violence, and we are hoping that once these two conventions are ratified, there will be policies and legal enactment of laws that will protect you.
Still, domestic workers very often lack recognition as real workers and constitute one of the most vulnerable categories of workers.
Domestic workers fall under the paid care work, which has received very low attention due to the gender-based misconceptions surrounding the work.
The government acknowledges the fact that these workers mostly work in very risky environments that do not observe basic human rights, decent work, social protection, safety, and occupational health. Though Kenya had not significantly celebrated International Domestic Workers' Day in the past, in June 2022, the Center for Domestic Training and Development brought together partners and other stakeholders in the domestic workers subsector to celebrate this day in order to enable issues of domestic workers to be brought to focus.
We want the recognition of International Domestic Workers' Day to be celebrated as a national event annually. This will provide a platform that will enable duty bearers and key stakeholders in the sector to annually audit progress made towards making decent work a reality for domestic workers in Kenya and the diaspora.
This day not only draws the world's attention to the needs of domestic workers, but also celebrates their achievements and contributions. The Center for Domestic Training and Development has been at the forefront of empowering domestic workers in Kenya since the year 2001. To date, we have trained over 30,000 domestic workers with skills for employment and income generation, and have contributed to a paradigm shift in how domestic workers view themselves and how they are viewed by their employers.
This year, the Kenyan government has realized the importance of celebrating this day and accorded it national status. Domestic workers have used this day to honor the vibrancy of the leadership of domestic workers in the fight for better protections across the world. As we celebrate this year's International Domestic Workers' Day, we are grateful to the government for its commitment to domestic workers, for the role they play in the national economy.
The ministry is ready to work and collaborate closely with our social partners, non-governmental organizations, development partners, and our line ministries to protect our domestic workers here at home and abroad.
Indeed, empowering domestic workers is akin to championing gender equality and women economic empowerment in our beloved country.
A wise man once said, "To get through the hardest journey, we need take only one step at a time, but we must keep on stepping." The Center for Domestic Training and Development remains committed to the cause that is ensuring that domestic work becomes a dignified profession. One step at a time, one foot in front of the other, they are confident that they will make it one way or another.
Anyone who is fighting for domestic worker, child domestic worker, child labor, child trafficking, everybody who is looking after our welfare, may God bless you.